How early can construction start? In this video, I'm going to give you the parameters and the mindset that you can use to know when your project should actually start. So let's talk about what you need to start the project, why you shouldn't start until you're ready, and how you can look at it. So let's go. All right, so I'm going to talk to you about a couple of quick concepts here that I think you're going to love. In construction, we will do better if we limit our work fronts. That means that we focus in a flow and limit our work in process, okay? The other thing is we don't start things until we have a full kit. I learned this in Goldratt's Rules of Flow, and I actually had an interview with Dr. Efrat Goldratt, who talked to us about this concept specifically and how to limit work in process and how to really create flow on a project. So we don't start something until we have a full kit. That means everything that we need for it to work well and for us to complete it. So we do not start construction until we have what we need to complete it. Now some people are like, well, what about phase design? Okay, that's fine. There's a big difference between irresponsibly starting a project and starting a project in phases. Here's what I mean by this. If you're saying, let's go ahead and do the design for the foundations and superstructure and civil and site work, okay, then you need to have a full kit for that and fully enable it and fully finish that design before you start construction. If you do not do that, you'll end up in a lot of trouble. And then you can go over here and design the fit out of the interiors, and you can design the roof and the central plant and everything else like that. But here's the caveat. Here's the caveat. For you to actually go build the foundations and superstructure, you likely will need to know the loads for the central plant on the roof, and you'll need to know the coordinated inserts or blue banger locations inside the decks and the MEP locations in coordination below the slab on grade. So you can't just look at it, oh, I'm going to go ahead and design the foundations and superstructure package. No, it's the foundations, superstructure, any design loads, the full MEP overhead for the decks, the full underground coordination, and anything else that affects the structure, including exterior embeds or any blockouts or sleeves. So we have to understand that phase design, yes, it can be done well, but it's only really done well by the best. Everything else other than what I'm talking about is just designs not finished, and you are going to crash land your project. So please make sure that whether you do the complete design all at once or you do phase design, you have everything you need to complete that phase, everything you need to complete that project. So let's go ahead and look at it like this. When I look at a project, I think of it as the substantial completion, which we also covered in another video, your final completion, the buffer, the commissioning, site work, exteriors, interiors, superstructure, foundation, mobilization, and project start. In the book, How Big Things Get Done, they talk about, very well, by the way, it's a fantastic book, that you should start with the end in mind. How long will it take the project, in addition to when does it need to be done? If it needs to be done here, you properly identify through tact planning and risk analysis and identification and reference class forecasting how long this should take. That will determine when the project actually needs to start in order to complete it by that date. And then before that, you obviously have what I call the critical three. You have your buyout, okay? You have procurement, okay? And then you also have permissions, okay? Before that, you have design, okay? So here's the thing. Before you start a project here, you must have a full kit. That's what I want to talk about right now. So even if it's just for these phases, you must have the design, okay? You must have the contractors. You must have the materials, and you must have the permissions. In addition to the team and the plan, you are ready to go. So do not, and here's my warning, and I do want to mention Frank Gehry. He said, and this is a famous quote, and it's from the book How Big Things Get Done. He does not allow his clients to start until he is sure that there is a completed design that will enable the project to finish on time and on budget the way the owner expects. This has been proven to work over and over and over. So this right here can be looked at like a gate, okay? And the only key to the gate, meaning, and I'll just go ahead and draw a key right here, the key to the gate is the full kit. Do not start the project until you have a full kit. So there's a couple of things that tie into that I want to talk about. And the way I'm going to explain them will ensure that we know we have what we need. Before we start, and I'm just going to put this as number one, get the people, meaning the team, okay, the plan and the resources to go ahead and staff the job. So you must have that in order to start, okay? But also do not start unless you have, number two, a buffer. What this right here at the end will allow you to do is make sure that you can absorb any risks, impacts, or delays that will happen whether you plan it or not, meaning these are things that likely cannot be anticipated ahead of time. Okay, do not start until you know you have the right duration for the project. You cannot undercut these milestones, the substantial or final completion, and still do well. So from a duration standpoint, you're going to make sure that you have a good plan, and I'm going to write at least ×3. What the book How Big Things Get Done talks about is how Pixar creates movies. They, by the time you see the movie, have gone through 8 previous movie creations for that movie. That means they made the movie, they watched it, tore it apart, redid it. They watched it, they tore it apart, redid it. Watched it, tore it apart, redid it. By the time you see a Pixar movie, it is the 9th film. And so in construction, we might not be able to get to 9, but what I'm saying is before you start your project, you must have the plan made, reviewed, and corrected at least 3 times. The other thing is you must identify the risks in here, and you must do what's called reference class forecasting. So these 3 things. So review it, identify the risks, and make sure that your duration accommodates that. And number 3, reference class forecasting is where you take previous similar projects inside a reference class and understand either their total duration and total budget as adjusted to the size of your current project, and or you understand their overages for time and budget, and you don't assume that this is going to magically be different, and you have a proper duration. Okay, that is absolutely key. In order for that to work, you will have to have, number 4, a complete design. And I've already talked to you about it, but that does not mean it's phased or incomplete. It means it's either phased and complete for everything you need for that phase, completely pre-kitted and ready to go, or it means that the entire design is done for the entire project. And the last thing that I will say is make sure that you've merged supply and demand, okay? What I mean by this is that you have taken what the owner wants from an end date standpoint and also simulated that out from a production standpoint, like Todd Zabel talks about in his book, Built to Fail. You have simulated a production rhythm that makes sure that you can start. The key thing here is do not, and I'll put a big red X, do not start this project until you have what you need, design is complete, and you have contractors and the tools, equipment, permissions, everything you need. The biggest thing that I want to say here, in addition to people, plan, and resources, I'll say resources, I'm going to do long lead procurement, okay? Inside these plans, you'll have your phases, but sometimes you'll have this individual timeline. And it may start here in pre-construction, sometimes in design. Like let me just take switchgear for instance. let's say switchgear has to come in here and tie into interiors. There are inch stones along the way, along this timeline, that have to be managed in order for this project to go well. You may have to begin this in design and in pre-construction to get this right. So another part of your pre-kit, you can either leave it up here or put it down here, are the critical timelines. And I'll say in closing, I've never seen a project that hasn't had to start working with the elevator contractor early on. Never seen a project that hasn't had to start working on exterior design in pre-construction. I've never seen it. I don't think that they exist. You've got to start some of these efforts, some of these early timelines, as a part of your pre-kit process before you start the project, or it will impact you. So what I'm going to do is put this into a beautiful Canva graphic for you. Please, if you have any questions, reach out to us. But I hope you've enjoyed this video and you get the main concept. On we go.